Hi, I'm Kelly with CitrusCycles.ca. I'm here with Felt Sport E50. It's a lightweight e-bike powered by the powerful Shimano Steps E8000, which is usually reserved for mountain bikes, so lots of power there. We've got a 500 watt-hour battery. This is styled kind of like a road bike. It's actually really comfortable. We do have a suspension fork up there, comfortable riding position, but that lightweight means it's a fast bike. They're suitable for pretty much anything that you want to do with it. You can actually add fenders, rack, and lights. We have a kit for that. I would do that because I'd use this bike for commuting. I'd want to bring my laptop with me, do some grocery shopping. I ride all year, so the fenders would be handy, and I ride at night, so the lights would be handy as well. So it's a nice option that you can add, and really this bike is suitable for anybody that's looking for something kind of like a road bike. If you're looking for a lightweight bike that's fast, performance-oriented, this is a great bike to consider. And because you can add the rack and the fenders, you can also use it for those longer rides. You could use it for commuting. Pretty much anything except for mountain biking, of course. So I'm going to step you through the details of the bike. I'll take you on a ride test, but for the in-depth specs, current pricing, you can head to our website at citruscycles.ca. There you'll find our contact info, so if you want to reach out with questions or if you want to book an appointment to come try it here in beautiful Ladysmith on Vancouver Island, or take advantage of our Try at Home program, you can find the details and our contact info on our website at citruscycles.ca. So it really is styled after a road bike, and it's really lightweight compared to other e-bikes on the market. And I think that's the big takeaway from this bike, is if you're looking for something that's similar to the kinds of bikes you're riding, if you're riding on the road, this is a really great bike to consider. So very lightweight. We do have, as I mentioned, the Shimano Steps E8000 motor. That's actually a Shimano's highest torque motor, which means you'll get up the hills really quickly. And that's one of the things I noticed on the ride test, is you can really climb hills very quickly with this bike. Lots of torque, very responsive, and it's actually a real surprise, because in a bike this price range, I would have expected them to use the Shimano Steps E6000 or 5000, which have substantially less torque. You're going to get up the hills, but a lot slower. With this E8000, you're getting up the hills really quickly. The neat thing is we've got the 500 watt-hour battery, and because it's such a lightweight bike, you do have tremendous range. And the Shimano system does have this removable display here that is going to show you lots of data, including your cadence and your range. And that's one of the nice things about having this system, is you're going to know exactly how much further you can go on a single charge. So up here you can see we've got the time, an indicator showing my lights are on, but of course you don't have lights installed. This is something I like about the Shimano system. It does give you a percentage of the battery, your current speed, the current level of assistance. I like the choice of controls here that Felt has made. So with the Shimano system you can get trigger shifters. The challenge with that for adjusting the levels is that there's only 2 buttons, and it's missing the 3rd button here. I like the 3rd button because that cycles through the information on the display here. So I can use the up to move it up to boost, and the down to move it to eco. Trail is kind of the middle setting. It's actually a really responsive setting. It's fun to ride in because as soon as you pedal harder, you get more power. You ease off in the pedaling, you get a little less power, so it's more efficient that way. Down here you can see the trip information or other data, and that's cycled through by the black button here. That's really nice because with the trigger shifters, then you're often trying to press buttons on the display, and that's hard to do while you're riding. So this is really cool. Again, as if you're coming to this looking for kind of a road bike experience, I love the fact that you can see your cadence. We can see the trip distance, the total odometer on the bike, the range and the current level of assistance, the range in all 3 levels of assistance, which is pretty cool to see, the trip time, your average speed, and your maximum speed. So lots of data there, and this is a removable display, so you can take it in with you. So that's the Shimano Steps system. To make this bike really efficient, we do have these narrower, in terms of the e-bike world, of course, not necessarily in other bikes we wouldn't call a 700 by 38C necessarily narrow, but it is relatively narrow for e-bikes. It is the Schwalbe Energizer Life. It does have the K-Guard level 3, so that has a high degree of puncture resistance, not as high, say, as the Schwalbe Marathon, and that would be an easy change that you could make. But this is a e-bike specific tire, so that means it has a longer lasting compound. You're going to be riding your bike more, you're going to be going further distances, and so it's nice to have a tire that maybe is a little bit heavier than other tires, but it's going to last really well. Like I said, you could easily change this to maybe a Schwalbe Marathon if you wanted something with even more puncture resistance. You run these at a 50 to 85 psi, and actually I find this tread pattern works quite well in gravel as well, and in wet conditions it's great. If you were riding all year, Schwalbe has the Marathon GT 365, or if you were wanting to do even more gravel, the Schwalbe G1 is pretty cool. So you got lots of options, but the tires that come with it are long lasting, and that's really nice, and some puncture resistant as well. We do have a Suntour NCX fork here. It does have a lockout, so if you want to, if you're concerned about efficiency, you can lock that out. But if you're more inclined to comfort, keep it open. It's actually a good fork. We've got some preload adjustment in there as well. What I like about a suspension fork on a bike like this, and I'll probably mention it again in the test ride video, is when you've got that little bit of suspension, it gives you more control over the bike in rough situations. So if you're getting into some uneven pavement, potholes, that sort of thing, and you're in traffic, one of the dangerous things that cyclists tend to do is they slow down, speed up, and swerve to avoid things. When you've got that suspension fork, it's going to make it a lot easier to kind of be more consistent rider in traffic. Coming back up to the top here, we do have fairly flat bars, nice long flat stem to give you that really forward riding position, but of course you could change any of that out. We do have ergo grips here, which are nice. They're a bit rubbery. They're actually quite comfortable, and I do like that we have plugs on the bar ends here, so if I wanted to add a mirror, which is something certainly I would do for riding in traffic, you can do that as well. So brakes, we've got the Shimano hydraulic brakes. I think these are 180 180 rotors up front and back. Very responsive, very powerful. Again, on an e-bike, I always say, you know, hydraulic brakes are definitely the way to go, because you're going to be going at higher speeds, you know, especially if you load up with groceries or something like that. You've got a little bit more weight and you want to be able to stop the bike very easily. Got the Shimano Deore XT, which is a nice drivetrain actually, good quality. The shifting was nice and smooth. A really good gear range here. Again, in the ride test, you'll see I'm able to get going pretty fast and climb some pretty steep hills. So I think Felt really did a great job in choosing the components for this bike to really meet the purpose that they're trying to achieve with it. We don't have a chain guard, but we do have kind of a chain ring guard here that protects the chain ring up front, and that's going to do a little bit to keep pant legs from getting greasy, but it isn't a full-length chain guard like you might see on a, you know, more of a city touring bike that's kind of more upright. But you know, you could always put something on your pant leg if you needed to do that. We do have bosses for water bottle cage here, which is really cool. So you could use that for a water bottle cage or for a lock or a pump or anything like that. We've got a moderately comfortable saddle. Actually, I didn't find the saddle bad at all. Some of our customers prefer something a lot cushier, but on a bike like this, it makes sense. We do have a little bit of gel in there, which is nice. It's a nice shape, fairly narrow. Again, it's more of a performance-based bike, and so they've got a performance-based saddle on there. The pedals, they're okay. They are Felt branded with a little bit of rubber here. Maybe you'd go clipless, maybe you'd do some platform with some knobs if you're riding in the rain. I never fault manufacturers for the choice of pedals because, you know, everybody has a personal opinion, so I always plan on buying a bike and replacing the pedals. This is actually really cool. With the Shimano step system here, they've actually done an integrated bash guard, aluminum bash guard. That's, again, surprising that they are using the E8000, and even more surprising that they'd put a bash guard. I think that's great. I mean, that allows you to maybe do a little bit more off-road riding with this. You do have the suspension fork, so you want to hit some trails. You're not worried about bashing the motor there. I like the changes Shimano made to the 500 watt-hour battery. We no longer need a dongle to charge the battery off the bike. Basically, the charging port is right on the battery here, so when you can charge the bike on the battery. Charge the battery on the bike by plugging in there, and if you take the battery off the bike with the key, you need the key of course, then that same charging port is used to charge it. With a 400 watt-hour battery, you had to use a dongle when you're off the bike, and that would be something that you might misplace. I think I've highlighted everything except for the kickstand, which I really like. It's, as you can see, it's mounted as part of the frame here, so it's very, very stable at the back. It's not going to collide with your pedals when you move the bike around, and very stable. That is part of the that's included with the bike. So if you want to add the lights, you can see Felt has conveniently put the wiring here for the lights and at the front. We've got the mounting points for the rack and the fenders. Definitely a great add-on, but if you're looking for, you know, that look, that road bike look, then and you're not riding in the rain or you don't care, then you can keep it the way that it is. Hopefully I've covered all the details. If I missed anything, you can head over to our website at citruscycles.ca if you want to try it out. It's a fun little bike. I'd definitely recommend setting up an appointment and giving it a try. The riding position is quite comfortable. It's quite forward, which is what you'd expect on a bike like this. This is the 55 centimeter. I might go with a little bit of a longer stretch for myself, but actually I think this fits quite well. I've got it on trail right now, and I find it very, very responsive. So it's really very sensitive to my torque. Pedaling lightly, getting a little bit of power, punch those pedals, and I definitely get a lot more. It's easy to get up to that 32 kilometer an hour maximum speed, and that's just on trail, which is the middle level, not even boost. Broken pavement here. It's where the suspension torque is nice. Lets you keep a straight line. It's constant speed when you're in traffic, without having to avoid potholes. Brakes are nice and responsive. They are hydraulic, of course. If you were doing long rides on a lot of bumpy stuff, I might put a suspension seat post on myself. Head back up the hill now. But yeah, no problem with the brakes on that steep descent there. I'm going to put it up to boost for the hill. Wow, you get lots of power very suddenly. I do notice, and I have to be careful, I'm used to riding Bosch systems that have the shift detection, so it cuts the power to the motor when you're shifting. Shimano doesn't have that, so it is a good idea to ease off when you're pedaling when shifting. And wow, I'm going to have to do that hill again. Probably, 15 kilometers an hour. That's actually a really steep hill. I'm not sure if the GPS will show the grade or not, but it is quite steep. It's a good test hill, and a lot of times I'm finding myself on most bikes 8 or 9 kilometers an hour going up the hill. And here, put it in easier gear, and wow, I'm up to 16, no problem. So certainly that Shimano E8000 motor gives you lots of power, but it's also a really light bike, and that helps climbing as well. Wow, that's great. Now you do notice the noise a bit when you're climbing with the Shimano system. It's funny because people will say, oh, the Bosch system is really loud, or this system is really loud and this system is really quiet. But generally when they're all in a high level of assist climbing a steep hill, you're going to hear it. The rest of the time, you probably won't. As we go along on the road here, I'll put it back down to trail, and I don't hear it at all. Shifting is smooth. It's interesting. They've gone with the Deore XT drivetrain derailleur, which is really great for shifting, and I was confused at first because the shifters here are Sera, and I thought that doesn't really match. Why would they do that? But it gives the option of having the visual gear display with the numbers. So I'm wondering if that's maybe why they went with that. Either way, they are shifting quite well. No problems there. Okay, let's check out the gearing ratio. I've got a big hill here that I can pedal down. I'm up to 40, still being able to pedal, provide input power, 45. Up to 50, and I'm still pedaling. So yeah, you can definitely go fast
it's geared for it, which is great. Let me turn around and climb back up that hill, but according to the display here, I don't know what the GPS will show, but according to the display I was exceeding 50, and I was able to pedal at a reasonable cadence. It was a little bit quick, but I was still able to provide input power, so that's really nice. Bump it up to boost for the hill, and you do feel that power, the difference between trail and boost right away. And yeah, no problem climbing this hill. It's a really fast bike on the hills. If you're looking for a way to get up the hills quickly, this is definitely a great bike. You know, and at first I felt like maybe I needed a little bit of a bigger size, but I'm quite liking the size now, actually. You notice when you're riding that it is a light bike, handles really well. The assistance fades out. You don't really notice. If I get up to the 32 there, yeah, it just fades. It's not a big drop, which is nice. Yeah, fun bike, fast, light, very responsive, comfortable. You can check out all the detailed specs on our website at citruscycles.ca. If you have questions, our contact info is there, and I'd be happy to help you.